Do you need some help with that Honky Tonk Man?
Yeah, because I'm not good at this shit.
Alright.
What the hell's that?
It's my phone. That's my boss. I'm trying to get you laid. He's looking for someone for you.
I don't care about that. I don't care about that anymore. See, it's what you guys don't understand.
It's Sky. She says, I'm going to hang around Cornwall because I want to have sex with Honky later tonight.
Sky is the girl that was
managing Ben. Did she slap him hard?
Did she?
Did you do a slap with her at the end of the match?
No, she pulled my hair really hard and I got pissed off.
That was her first match.
Yeah, she was like yanking on my hair and I told the guy and I said, if she pulls my hair like this again, I'm gonna slap the shit out of this bitch.
Screech and Smirnoff or just Screech?
Screech, I'm Screech, man.
You're Screech.
Oh, that's the girl who was pulling
The
her
little
hair?
blonde girl, yeah. She almost decapitated me when she hung on my neck on the rope, which was okay because I could put my arms down.
She does have big tits, though. You signed them later on in the night.
Then she like pulled my hair like she was plucking a chicken. And I don't like people who pull my hair.
No?
Or give me chops. What the f? Sorry.
I thought you weren't drinking.
What the hell does the Transport Canada do with these highways?
What have you been drinking tonight, Kendall?
You come up to this country, you expect things to be nice and clean and everyone be good, and the roads are like the worst. This is bad. This is like being in a third world country.
It is.
Can you dodge those potholes? Can we put our tax dollars to work? You know, I have a Canadian bank account. You know that.
Yes, I do.
They take the money out of my Canadian bank account, the taxes. They take them out. They don't ask me to pay the tax. They just take them out anyway. What are they doing with my money on these highways?
It's awfully bumpy. Are we on the?
Can we at least get on the Queen's Highway or something? I mean, God save the Queen.
I think we're there.
Bring back Renee Levesque. I mean, for Christ's sakes.
All right. So we were talking about your son.
My son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was that a huge disappointment for you, or?
Hold on, before you talk any more about your son.
Yeah, bottle screech. About his drug habits. Yes, it's disappointing because you had asked me earlier in this if however it plays. Was my being away from home, maybe did it cause any problems? And I said, well, I don't know. No one ever told me. But then I have a son who gets himself caught up in this drug world. And I had a friend who told me once that these kids between 18 and like 35, that generation of American kids are called America's lost youth. And he happens to be in that group of people. He had a good job. He was in college on a scholarship playing golf. How many people would love to play golf in college? How many people would love to be on a scholarship to play golf in college? And he was one of them, and ended up now with nothing, no money. Cars parked in front of my house. I had to have it towed the last time he was locked up. The car doesn't run.
What exactly was he locked up for?
Paraphernalia, cocaine on him. Small amounts, not enough for. But he had felony charges. But felony charges in Arizona come with even just paraphernalia. So if you have more than what they think you should have in rolling papers, or you have a small amount of marijuana or a small amount of cocaine, then it's a felony charge, which if you do community service and pay your fines, then it's reduced down to a misdemeanor, and they eventually washes out of the court.
But you don't blame yourself for that, do you?
No, because I think we choose. It's the life we choose. I choose to drink the screech. I choose to have the beers.
You look at your daughter, though. She's completely
choice.
opposite of
Totally
your personality.
Totally
and
opposite.
your wife's, from what I could tell.
Totally opposite of. But I mean, can we control what someone else does? No, we cannot control that. All we can do is say, I wish you would not do that. I hope you don't do that, because if you do this, this is what's going to happen. But these kids, this bunch of boys, between 18 and 35 years old in our country, they have no education. They drop out of school. They want $20 an hour for a job with no education, no training, no ticket for anything, and then they're all lawyers. We know the law. They can't lock us up for this. Oh, you know the law? If you guys are so smart, why in the hell are you keep getting caught? If you're so smart. I've been around for 56 years of my lifetime, and I have never been handcuffed. Never. I've had some speeding tickets, but I have never been arrested and sent to jail and spent the night there or had to call my parents to come and get me out of jail. Never. Now, who's smarter? Those 19 to 35-year-old kids who think they're lawyers, or us old guys who just drive along real slow, have our screech, and go about our merry way?
How about you, Deb? You ever been arrested?
I have been arrested quite a few times, actually, but I haven't been
For what?
convicted of anything. For drunken fighting and for drunken stuff. Nothing serious. But yeah, I spent the night in jail numerous times. But luckily, nothing serious. Anything that's gone to court, I've gotten off of.
Where are your parents?
My parents are in Ottawa.
Yeah? Do they like what you do?
No, they do not. They're not wrestling fans at all. And I didn't even tell them I was wrestling today because they'd be furious with me if they knew. Because they don't understand wrestling. You have to love wrestling. It's either in your blood or it isn't. Like you can't understand someone that wrestles and loves wrestling if you're not a wrestler. I didn't even tell my parents I was promoting this show today. And I sure, if they saw that I bled today, they'd be furious with me. They don't understand it. I remember one time I had to get 52 stitches. I called my dad. I'm like, "Can you pick up my car from this arena? I'm in the hospital." And he's like, "Why are you in the hospital?" I'm like, "Didn't you just see the match?" And he's like, "Oh, that was real blood." And I'm like, "Yes." They just don't understand how wrestling works. But my dad's totally different than I am.
Yeah.
And same with my mom's just, I guess you could say, a housewife, and my dad has a decent job, but they don't understand. They're not athletes, and they don't understand wrestling.
So we were talking earlier, like you went actually through training for this. Like, how did you train?
Yeah, at the Harts.
How did you train to do this?
Here's another reason why my parents hate me. I was a national champion in amateur wrestling when I was still in high school. I had numerous scholarships to schools in the States and in Canada, and I turned them down out of high school to become a professional wrestler. Looking back now, I realize I was stupid to do that, but I didn't care. I was a great amateur wrestler, but I didn't care. I wanted to be a professional wrestler. So I don't think my dad and my mom have ever really forgiven me for that. But I don't want to be I'm a good Ultimate Fighter. I'm training for that right now. I don't want to do it. My heart is in wrestling. It's all I want to do. I can't explain it. I don't understand why I love it, but I love it.
But can you tell me, like, what kind of training did you do? Like, what?
Yeah, I went out to the Harts. Stu was still alive at that point, and Bruce Hart was in charge of the school. I know Honky knows Bruce very well, and they would punish me. It was called the Dungeon. It's one of the most famous training schools in the world.
Sadistic.
Yeah, it's not around now.
Most sadistic school.
Like some wrestling
around
schools would torture you by making you do lots of cardio, but the Dungeon would make you go through a lot of pain. And both Stu and Bruce wasn't a tough guy, but Stu was. But Bruce still kept Stu's values. Like he would want to punish you. Like you would have to be tortured if you were going to make it as a pro wrestler. He didn't care. He could see someone like me who's a good athlete, and he would still punish me. And he would rather take a skinny guy that could go through the punishment than like a football player that couldn't go through the punishment.
Like, what do you mean by torture?
Maybe if the practices were at 10 in the morning, I'd have to take 60 slaps to the face every morning. maybe 100 chops, maybe 200 break fall. Every morning in the dungeon floor, which isn't like a wrestling ring, the dungeon floor was mats over concrete. It wasn't over wood. Honky's been in the dungeon, haven't you, Honky? It hurts.
It's
you learn how to fall properly, or you break your back.
I was there to witness the punishment. I didn't train there because I had already been trained. I was 12 years in the wrestling business before I went to Stu's and to the Hart dungeon, and I saw what they did. And Brett himself even has a tape of some young fella. They taped it where Stu has this young fella down in the dungeon, and the young fella is screaming at the top of his lungs, screaming for his life. Ah! Ah! And Stu's going, hey, have a little discipline, be a man. Ah! It was like someone on a torture rack, and when he talks about what Bruce did, Bruce would mentally and physically break you down, and Bruce was the smallest of all the Hart boys.
And Bruce would get off on breaking you down.
Right.
Bruce actually got off on this.
Yes.
He loved breaking people. He loved taking it could be the greatest recruit ever.
Yeah.
But he would go out of his way to make sure the recruit got broken down.
Yes.
And Bruce had how many chances to be signed with the WWE as like a AAA version of WWE, similar to Florida Championship Wrestling now. But he's so sadistic that he just likes training people for himself. Like, he likes to see a big guy get beaten down and beaten down and beaten down. He gets off on it. He loves this. He would have us do scenario. Like, some of the things he would do in practice is, say I'd have to wrestle Natty, who's in WWE now. Natalia is her name. He'd say, okay, Devon, here's a scenario for you. You got Natty pregnant. Now you want to kick the baby. You want to kick her in the stomach. This is just, I'm explaining to you how sadistic Bruce is and what gets him on. He'd be like, okay, you got Natty pregnant and you want to get rid of the baby. So you're going to kick her in the stomach. You're going to have an argument and you're going to kick her in the stomach and you're going to try and get the baby out of Natty. You're going to do this for about 5 minutes. Then Natty's going to fire up, slap you in the face about 20 times. Because Bruce loves girl versus guys, as you know. He really, really loves that kind of stuff. So the girl would slap and beat the shit out of me after. But he would just like have us do these scenarios for fun. But I still agree. Bruce may not have been the greatest trainer, but I agree, he at least got the, I don't mean to use the word pussies.
He taught you self-discipline.
Yeah. You have to admit, everyone that's been through the dungeon, including Chris Benoit, the Jake the Snakes, even you, we all have a different mentality. Like TJ Wilson's in the Harry Smiths. We have a different mentality than someone that's been through another wrestling school, because we actually had to fight for real to get trained. We were beaten down and we had to learn to like take the beating. It took 3 months of just getting beat up every single practice before he actually started teaching me the moves.
He ran it.
That sounds really messed up, though.
He ran it like a concentration camp where.
Well, some people would last 1 week. You take the 3,000. It was 3,500 American. Some people would. You take the 3,500 American. They'd last 1 week and they would leave, and he was fine with that. And other people would stay. I was one of the lucky ones that stayed.
But isn't that emotional abuse? I'm sorry, but that's emotional abuse.
You know, at the time, be getting slapped in the face, chopped. It proved my toughness. So I think you have to learn that. You can't just you can't just have someone train you. You can't just give someone $300 and have them teach you all the secrets. How do you have respect? Wrestling may not be 100% real, but you should have some toughness. If someone looks at you and calls you a phony or a fake, wrestling's not fake. If someone calls you a fake, you should be able to fight them. And I do respect Bruce, and I'll always respect Bruce for that. He got rid of the people that couldn't stand up for themselves in a case like that. If you went through the dungeon, if someone called you that said that you were a fake, you would have the mentality to be able to fight them. You wouldn't just be like, okay, yeah, I'm a fake. I'll walk away from this. Like a lot of these guys that you probably saw wrestle tonight. You must have noticed a difference between my match and everyone else's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The way they teach us in the Harts had a big influence in Japan. They were influenced by Japan. Stampede used to have a deal with New Japan, so we were trained the Japanese way, which is very realistic. You're hitting people as hard as you can, but you're hitting them in places where it's not going to cause permanent damage.
But you got hurt. Like, you get hurt.
You get...
What's wrong with you? Niagara's bothering you?
What's that?
Pull your sack
Niagara's
up.
a bugger.
Pull your sack up.
Yeah.
I wish that was it.
You ready?
But you get hurt. You get hurt. Right?
You get hurt, but that's part of the sport. I don't think you should go... Maybe not every night, but...
Feel this.
Woo! Here we go. Woo!
Oh,
They-
tough. I'm just going to be devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Because I know what you do.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to have the appearance of violence. And we talked to you a lot about
It
this.
is wrestling
About
hurts.
the blood and the...
Look at his arms.
Wrestling hurts.
It hurts.
Wrestling hurts.
But you know what?
It's not fake.
Okay, but
you
know
take
what?
stuff.
What you just
Do you think
told
I would
me-
let someone slap me in the face in real life? If we're at the bar that I'm going to right now, what would happen if someone slapped me in the face?
I'll try it, David.
No, you just tell me what you think would happen.
Well, I don't think it'd be
Would they
pretty.
be dead?
Yeah. But what
In
you just told me
wrestling,
about
I
the
have to
training.
take a slap in the face.
Yeah, I know.
In
you
wrestling, I have to take. Look at my head. Look at this. I have to take a chair shot to the head. Or not. What was it? A chair? It wasn't even a chair. It was a 30-pound case that I was being hit with
Yeah.
tonight. In wrestling, you have to be. Here's my head. Hit me with it. In a real fight, if someone tried to hit me with that, I'd beat the crap out of them. So in wrestling is kind of weird. You saw that clip. I took a coffee pot to the head. You think in real life I'm going to let someone bash me with a bottle to the head? In wrestling, you allow that stuff to happen. It's not fake. It's not fake at all. I promise you that. My
The
arms are
training
killing me.
seems
My
really
back's
weird,
killing me.
though. The training seems a bit like...
The
it
training
seems a
that
little
I
fucked
went
up to
through
me.
is different from the others, though. But you watch my match and you see what it's like. And you see my attitude and you see Honky's attitude. Honky's been down the road. You may be taking a bit easy now, but weren't you a participant in the big concession stand brawl in Tufalo with Lawler and all them?
I look at it as I've earned the right.
To take it easy.
I've earned the right now to do it my way,
Yeah.
as opposed to some punk kid telling me how I should do it. When he is not trained the way that this fellow's been trained. If he tells me to go do something, I respect him telling me that, and I would go do it because I know how and where he was trained and how he was trained. And he was trained in a disciplined attitude to where you have lost everything of your own control, and then you're reprogrammed to be this other person.
And you think that's good?
I wasn't broken down that way.
But do you think that's good? That kind of break you down?
My training was physical training, and learn. But then I wasn't.
Where were you trained?
I was trained in a barn with Herb Welch, and Coco Beware was my training partner, and we trained. And he didn't break us down mentally, but we were broken down physically. But our mental breakdown came for the next 2 or 3 years on the road, where we traveled with the veterans who broke us down, just like Bruce Hart broke him down mentally.
So you have to be mentally stripped.
You have to be
do this.
You have to be mentally totally changed in your mentality, because there's no respect there if you are not reprogrammed.
Eaten up.
Yes.
What would Brian Pillman and Bruce Hart do to you if you were weak? Do you remember, if you heard stories about Bill Kazmaier?
Right. I was with Bill.
Tell us about Bill Kazmaier, the world's strongest man. Tell us about what Bruce Hart and Brian Pillman did to him. They fucked with his mind. This guy was a celebrity. He won the world's strongest man.
He's on the World's Strongest Man TV show now doing commentary.
What did they do to him? They screwed his mind so much.
They broke him down. Brian Pillman was a fantastic athlete, a great person, and a great wrestler in this business with a great mental attitude. He was like 5'7", 5'8", 160, 70 pounds, right?
Yeah.
And he took this Bill Kazmaier, who was 6'2", 6'4", 330 pounds, world's strongest man, and they made him cry like a baby. They made him
every night.
They made him quit the business.
You ask Bill Kazmaier about his time in Stampede Wrestling. Made him quit wrestling.
Strongest man in the world. The strongest man
He couldn't
contest.
handle it mentally.
Who could by himself go and train, look in a mirror, pull the weights and do all those things he had to do alone. But when it came time for him to stand up and be somebody else other than that one person who could
He was petrified of 5'7",
Right.
230-pound Brian Pillman.
I was there.
Brian Pillman is dead now, in case you don't know.
I was there and saw that.
It reminds me of like how people train pit bulls.
It's similar, yes, it is. But it's like I said, his training all came in one segment of a period of time. Mine came over a period of time where mine was learned then in the cars, like we're driving tonight, and we've driven today. I was trained by, I had to be the bartender to open the beer and the whiskey to hand it to the veterans, and if I didn't do it, they slapped me around. I was trained that if I wanted to use the restroom, I didn't ask to get out of the car to go to the bathroom until they went. I didn't ask to go before they asked. And when I was in the locker room, if there was no chair for me to sit in, but there was an empty chair, I sat on the floor unless I knew that someone told me I could go sit in that chair. There's this etiquette, this professionalism that he learned it in his training. I had to learn it on the road. That if you showed up with stinky, dirty clothes like I talked about in the locker room, you got the shit kicked out of you and you got your clothes thrown out in the garbage, and they told you don't show up tomorrow like that or we're going to kick you out.
They put boot blackener on you sometimes and make you wash. I've heard that story. If you had stinky clothes, they put boot blackener on your body. So you would have to shower so much to get the boot blackener off you, you'd finally smell clean. That's one of the things that went on in pro wrestling.
You weren't allowed in the locker room with dirty clothes and stinky body. You had to dress outside with the pigs and the animals at the carnival.
Yeah.
That's the discipline. I didn't learn it in my training. He did. I had to learn it the hard way on the road. And I'm going, gosh, I'm a college kid. I just came out of college. What's this all about? It's about respect. It's about knowing your position. It's about knowing that you are absolutely nobody without a partner or without an opponent or without a referee. There's so many variables that go into what goes on in that ring. You are absolutely no one by yourself. You are nothing.
And that's what they're missing in today's wrestling. People get contracts out of nowhere. With paying no dues, they get a contract. I can be a main event star in Puerto Rico, and they won't hire me, but they'll hire some football player off the road. And look what happens with the Brock Lesnar's. As soon as they get some stardom, they quit. Because they don't have the heart for real pro wrestling.
So let me ask this though. Do you think through all that stripping down of your emotional state and taking you to the place where you think you're nobody, do you feel like you're stronger people now? Like, does that make you a stronger person
I'm
now?
happy I went through it. I think every pro wrestler should have to go through that training. It weeds out the weak people, especially today. They have no business wrestling a professional wrestler. The guy that Honky wrestled, luckily Honky's a nice guy and he didn't beat the shit out of him. I have a mean streak in me, I would beat the crap out of him. But Honky wasn't. Honky's relaxed and he's nice.
I can promise you this. Our world economy would not be in the position it is now if there was more training like we went through for the CEOs of these companies. If they had the discipline instilled in them that we had instilled in us, these people who run these major corporations, they would have been weeded out, kicked out many years ago.
Without a doubt.
They would have been gone. They would not have messed up our lives and our children's life, because unless you can walk the walk and talk the talk, how the heck can you tell someone else how to do it?
Exactly.
It disturbs me of the lack of that's what disturbs me about my own son, the lack of self-discipline. You can't self-discipline yourself to say, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do it. I'm going to stop. There's no self-discipline. And that's what it's all about. You have to be able to discipline yourself and to say, I am going to be better than that next person. I am going to achieve more success than the next person. I got the shit beat out of you in school. I got the shit beat out of me on the highway. Okay, here we go.
Up he goes.
Oh. What a nice ass he has. We're going back to his hotel after, and we're having some fun.
Been the same since you left.
Oh,
I lost you, Craig.
Huh? He was straight. He did nothing but train.
Hey, if you talk to any girls in Barry Bush, you have to do your accent. Let me hear it one more time.
Oh,
Yeah,
what's
you good?
the one over the thing? What did I say there?
Pretend Vicky's your girlfriend. Pick her up with that accent.
Hello, darling. How you doing tonight?
I think Honky likes you.
Hello.
Hey, this guy's the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
My name's Johnny Cash.
Okay, so just to get back to it, I think, coming from a chick's perspective,
Screech.
that whole mental abuse thing is really fucked up.
We
Unfortunately,
can back it up with Brutus Beefcake.
Unfortunately, we don't have the fact on that, so
Hey, you want to call Brutus?
no.
So,
I'd rather call
Honky,
Jake.
what did you think about all the blood today?
I saw a lot of broken tables and furniture, and I saw a lot of blood. As we discussed earlier, it's, at one time in my life it was part of what I did, but now it's not my cup of tea, because I'm a song and dance guy with a jumpsuit on, and I leave that to fellas like him, the hardcore, more fighters.
I'm not hardcore. I'm a fighter. I go in there to fight. I don't go in there to wrestle. I go in there to win any way I can.
So I leave
if I had to use a table, if I had to use a chair, it's just part of the match.
So I leave that. I leave that part to fellas like him who like to do the fighting. We need it. The cover of the book does not tell the story. You have to have many pages of the book to tell the story, and a wrestling show has to have many pages, and it has to have many scenarios and many different characters. We didn't have midgets today. We didn't have girls.
We had some valets though.
We had a valet. She was
Very big titted valet.
she was very
She was
Saskatoonish.
well endowed.
Yeah, she was very
We all signed her tits.
We dress in the same locker room, and we have the same scars on our head, and we take the same bumps, and it's wrestling is a fountain of youth.